What's up, everyone? No intro in today's video. I had the chart open. It's a Cardano ADA chart. I'm really excited about everything that's been coming together. I'm not excited about Cardano being down to 50 cents. Let's get that out of the way. But I'm excited how the charts have been coming together. I was just looking at the charts. I'm like, I'm going to record a video. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to go through this, but we're going to dig into what's happening here from a technical analysis perspective on the charts. So let's just do it. This is Cardano on the daily chart. So why am I excited? So if you look back just at 2022 alone, all my Cardano videos, all of the technical analysis that we did, we've tracked this rising, broadening wedge. We tracked the target to 80 cents out of that wedge, right, that we hit. It took time to get there, but we talked about it for a while. We tracked the 50 cent target out of the symmetrical triangle that we most recently just hit. It's hitting targets is what kind of gets me excited, and finding structure now after going through all of the anticipation of it all. And then I was just looking, I'm not going to show a clip here, but this is from May 10th. This is 10 days ago. We were talking about at Cardano 63 cents. We were talking about that 50 cent range and all of the confluence that was there. And we were talking about this falling, broadening wedge with a lower trend line. And I'm just like, all of these charts just coming together so ridiculously. And let me chart this lower trend line of that falling, broadening wedge, essentially like right around there. All the charts coming together, right? So what I mean is we have the 50 cent target out of the symmetrical triangle that we've hit, that Cardano is hitting, that Cardano is forming structure around right now. We have this lower trend line holding up, still in play right now. And then we have these trend lines all the way back, and I'm on a daily chart here, all the way back to November 2018, right? Kind of this higher high trend that Cardano has been seeing, and Cardano revisiting that entire segment most recently at this wick going down to that lower trend line May 12th, and Cardano forming structure around that area. Look at the confluence of all of these things coming together right around 50 cents as Cardano forms structure. We've made it this far, and needless to say, as we zoom out on the charts, I don't think any of us wanted the 50 cent target to be hit. I mean, maybe there's a piece of us that's just like, man, if ADA keeps falling, if crypto markets keep falling, I guess it's a great opportunity to accumulate, right? We know that. That's why we're ready for it. But I think at the end of the day, most people in crypto enjoy just gains. We enjoy all-time highs. We enjoy the bullish environment. It's so much more exciting. It's so much more fun to open the portfolio in those environments. But yet here we are. And in just the same as if we're in breaking all-time highs, we have to deal with that and live through that. Just the same, we have to live through the market that we're going through right now. And so here we are doing just that, and Cardano forming structure. And it's so interesting now how even the short-term 6-hour chart really pieces together, even on this macro story that's being told, this macro downtrend even that Cardano's in, this lower trend line even, and then this longer-term lower trend line even. So, and let's dig into that, and let me explain why that is. So here's Cardano on this 6-hour chart with this, let me replace that, with the inverse head and shoulders that we've been just tracking, right? We got the neckline break. This was May 15th, 5 days ago. This pattern is kind of running out of time from my perspective, in the sense that, yes, we got the neckline break. The target is up in the 80 cent region, but we've been waiting for a potential throwback, which I think we've identified based off Bolkowski and his data on the patternsite.com, that 65% of the time we can see a throwback to the trend line. But the thing that's kind of getting to me now in terms of this chart is the time frame of this breakout, the time frame, the lag. So what I mean by that is, if we, from start of the pattern to the breakout, we're looking at around 25 days. I don't want to see this consolidation while we're waiting for either continuation to the target or a throwback. I don't want to see that consolidation be longer than the actual setup of the pattern itself. It could be. I don't like to see it, but you can just see if we place 25 days, or 20, I shouldn't say 25 days. It's not 25 days. It's 6 days. It's 25 bars on the 6-hour chart. But if we place it and extend it, we're looking at tomorrow is kind of like the area where ADA on this chart will have extended itself past that timeline of the actual pattern setup. So kind of curious to see what happens between now and tomorrow, actually, in terms of this. But if we put that aside for a second, we dig into the actual charting data, it's incredible to see. The 50-cent target we've talked about literally all year long. We've waited for it since above $1, the possibilities of it. And isn't it amazing the consolidation and structure that I've talked about happening at the 50-cent range that we should anticipate is actually happening so nicely, right? And what I mean is, just look at this. We dropped through 50 cents, quick bounce back above, and then boom, just pulled back to it and kind of just pulled back to it a few times now. And even as I do the video, Cardano right around 50 cents. So now from a technical analysis perspective, besides the 50-cent target being hit and consolidating and forming structure, here's what we have going on. We do have the potential breakout continuation to its target 80 cents. If we get a short-term rally, the clouds across the markets seem very gray. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it could. Crypto surprises us often. But with this consolidation, you can just see at the 50-cent area is a head and shoulders. And this is a new thing I needed to talk about in this video because it's a new structure, it's a new formation, and it's happening kind of within the entire structure we've been tracking. And that is inverse head and shoulders with around a 40-cent target to the downside. It is such an interesting target because, it's the neckline of our inverse head and shoulders, number one, right? So it's a case for the throwback to the inverse head and shoulders neckline. But if we go back to that daily chart that we were just looking at, and we just look at, well, where's 40 cents on this chart? Check it out. It is right back here, right back to not only the swing low that we had at the capitulation May 12th area, but it's that lower trend line of this long-term macro trend that extends all the way back here to November. It's amazing consolidation for Cardano on the macro. I know in this long-term growth of ADA on these charts, we always have known, especially after hitting all-time highs, that there needs to be a higher low put in. We probably would have really enjoyed the higher low being $1 and then consolidating for a while maybe and then continuing. We all would have enjoyed that. But it's no surprise that Cardano has fallen so much, but so interesting to see that it's fallen to all of these confluent areas on these charts. And for me, someone who tracks technical analysis, and we've been tracking ADA so often and being prepared for downside targets so often and upside targets, it's truly interesting for me. It really just is. Like putting everything aside and my investment in ADA, it's so interesting to track and to see how this story keeps unfolding so consistently. And the markets seem so chaotic, and they are, but the symmetry and the technicals that play out on these screens, no matter the market conditions, truly something else. That is not to say that ADA might not, ADA might fall to the head and shoulders target around 40 cents, and it might continue falling, right? So that's something we should anticipate. There's absolutely no guarantees of bounce or structure then at the 40-cent area. And it's something to keep in mind. But also keep in mind this, if we go to the daily chart with where ADA is right now, a fall to the 40-cent target range that we just looked at, if it happens, would be overextension from the 50-day moving average of 50%. And in these current markets, even traditional markets, we can take a quick glance at the S&P 500 index. This could be a macro downtrend. Things could get very ugly. Cardano could fall below 40 cents. It very well could. I think at some point there's going to be some type of, at the very least, rally back to the upside. And I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We're going to continue tracking ADA on these charts, but I think at the very least, as we continue to do so and or anticipate much volatility, right? And ADA falling below 50 cents now, where we can anticipate that, especially with the visualization we have on the screen with new structure and new targets to the downside. We have to just keep in mind, all right, the markets are getting very oversold, and what will a bounce look like? Will a bounce be a part of the inverse head and shoulders story, a bounce off the neckline, and then finally the rally for ADA, traditional markets, going into next week or something. I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I say it all the time, everyone. I don't know. All I know is Cardano is a very strong investment play for me in the macro scheme of things. If we zoom out on the charts and look at what's being built and we allow ADA the time and markets the time to reset, to correct, we have to allow it. And we just plan our best we can through that. I think we'll do pretty well if we're not risking more than we can afford to lose and we're being careful. And especially if you're not taking what myself or other YouTubers are saying as financial advice, because it is not financial advice, but we're just tracking the data. And if we can just anticipate every scenario, I think we can come out doing really well. But I just wanted to dig into some of this data with you. If you've been like me and just genuinely interested to see the structure form and interested to see how these charts play out, because at the end of the day, looking back on these charts in a year, who knows what it will look like, but the story might look way more clear in the future when we look back than it does right now, because right now it does feel chaotic. But if you zoom out on the charts, it's making a lot of sense. What is happening right now, the consolidation, the structure. And so we'll continue tracking it. Wanted to just do an update video, some updated targets. We continue to wait to see for the inverse head and shoulders to the upside. If Cardano can make a break to the upside, if the 50 cent holds as strong support and markets do start seeing some green, it'll be fun to track higher highs and higher lows in that regard. But if not, we have a new pattern now on the screen. I wanted just to point to our attention to track, and it's the 40 cent target is a very interesting target for so many different factors. The neckline, the previous swing low, zooming out on the chart, it is the long-term trend line. So going to be crazy to track, everybody. That's all. That's what I'm here doing. I'm just creating content, tracking it with you, and it is enjoyable. I will tell you that much. If you're accumulating ADA, stake with CCV Pool. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your support. Let's continue growing this thing. Let's continue trying our best to be patient as we track these chaotic markets. I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome day. God bless.